Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Money, Real Business podcast. I'm Lauren, and today we have Kyle on the show, who's selling a display advertising business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. Hey Kyle, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Lauren. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to come onto the show. Really looking forward to digging into your business and learning more about it. But before we dive in, I'm going to give the listeners a brief summary of the business so that they have a better idea of what we're talking about. As I mentioned, this is a display advertising business. It was created in September 2021, and it's in the food and beverages and information niches. The average revenue for the business is $15,814 per month, and it makes an average of $14,869 per month in net profit. The assets included with the business are a domain, including all the site content and files, 10 301 redirects, as well as Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, Twitter, and Reddit social media accounts. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 66333 to learn more about this business. Or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So now that we have a rundown of the business, let's hear from you, Kyle. Can you fill us in on your background in starting and running online businesses?
Yeah, I started running online businesses about 5 years ago. I started with drop shipping, and then just as like another source to get traffic, basically I got a little bit more into SEO. And then I just kind of pivot probably about 3 years ago to full-time SEO, doing clients and also working on my own websites, basically my own projects.
Okay, that's very interesting that you started out in e-commerce and then switched over to SEO. What was it about display advertising that really attracted you to the business model?
So basically, when I got just over a period of time, my strength really lies in just growing organic traffic, like plain and simple. So obviously, I just find that display advertisements, it fits really well with my strength. So I'm good at just getting a lot of traffic, I would say, or fairly good, I guess you would say. And it's a simple business model. And on top of that, I find it's a little bit more stable than the rest, like say, for example, 100% affiliate. I just feel like the display advertisement businesses, they're less volatile during Google updates. So that's another thing I keep in mind when building websites.
Yeah, that's very true and definitely very important with all the updates that have been coming out recently. So when you were looking for a website to start, what attracted you to writing about the specific topic?
So it's kind of twofold. So number one, I always start just doing like the essential niche research. Like I don't let my passions dictate a lot of my decisions in the beginning. So I was just doing some research. I had come across this domain and I just figured like after doing the research, I just saw a lot of traffic opportunity. It was kind of untapped, a lot of the topics that I wanted to go after. So that was like number one. And then also on top of that, I was interested in the niche. So it was kind of like, it was starting from niche research because I did have a strong interest in the niche. I decided which actually made the research much easier as well.
Yeah, having an interest in the topic definitely makes it easier. And it's great that you were able to exploit that gap in the market there. Are you affiliated with multiple display advertising networks, or are you just affiliated with one main one?
Just the main one, AdThrive.
Okay, fantastic. So you've certainly experienced a lot of success with this business. You've built it up to a really strong place. What are the reasons you decided to sell the business now?
Yeah, so my girlfriend is pregnant, so I have a kid on the way, and there's just quite a bit of, I guess, financial pressure that comes with that. So I would like to sell the business. I have some family commitments and all that stuff, payments, stuff like this. And I feel like this would be a good decision. It would really set me up for my family's future, basically, and relieve a lot of, kind of pressures around money, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations. It sounds like you've got some really exciting times ahead of you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So looking back on your journey with this business, what would you say was one of your most successful moments or your biggest win with the business?
I think it grew kind of faster than I was anticipating. A lot of that was just I had some articles that went a little bit crazy within like Google Discover. They kind of rewarded me for that. Overall, it just grew nicely, quickly. From the beginning, it was kind of a good success, basically. Yeah.
That's great. Not a lot of people have that success right out of the gate. So it's great that you were able to experience that. I'm sure there were some hiccups along the way. Were there any setbacks or challenges that you had to overcome?
Honestly, no, there wasn't. It was just pretty straightforward. I think the biggest thing was just I kind of laid out a process in the beginning of the keywords, the topics that I wanted to start to target. And it just so happened that the topics did a lot better than expected. But for the most part, there hasn't been any hiccups really. Just been like, yeah, pretty straightforward. The only thing I would say is I did lose some Google Discover traffic, but I kind of knew that that's kind of sporadic anyway. So it's to be expected. But for the most part, it's been kind of smooth sailing.
Yeah, that's fantastic to hear. Not a lot of business owners get to say that. I think that's probably a reflection on your SEO skills there. Diving into that, where does the majority of your traffic come from and how do you attract traffic to your site?
It all comes from Google, essentially. Like 99% of it comes from Google. And that's broken down into about 85% from Google search. And then the rest of that is from Google Discovers. When you're publishing quite a bit of content like I'm doing, you'll get some articles that get picked up in Google Discover. So that's where it comes from.
Okay, fantastic. So you mentioned that SEO is one of your skills. How much time do you invest in on-page SEO and what sort of strategies do you use?
So there's a heavy focus on content, of course. Like I'm still publishing a lot of content. Even now, I'm still publishing 3 articles per day on average. But I have a team of writers, like in-house team of writers, full-time writers. So most of the work is outsourced. So basically, I just do the topic research, and the team they kind of understand the standards for how each page should be from an on-page perspective. Most of it is on-page, right? Because we're already a strong domain from like the backlink profile is very strong. So the most of the work now is just publishing content. So I'm basically just responsible for topic research and then just making sure that everything is being implemented correctly with a well-trained team. That's pretty simple.
You mentioned there that you have quite a strong backlink profile. Have you invested much time in building up that profile?
Well, to begin with, the original domain that the site is built on was an aged domain. So the original domain itself was aged. It had a very strong backlink profile. So when I bought the domain, it already had those backlinks. And then on top of that, as you mentioned at the beginning of the episode here, there's 10 domains. I want to make a clarification. There's currently 8 domains which are being redirected, which are all relevant and that stuff, that are being redirected to the domain to help power it up with links. The remaining 2 are just included. I just have not added them. I don't see a benefit in adding any more redirects to the domain. To be honest, I think that after, say, the second redirect, I didn't see any big difference. Yeah, I think after the first 2 is just kind of negligible difference. So it's 2 extras that would be included in the business.
Yeah, I think it's important to clarify that. So thanks for that. I see you have quite a few social media accounts associated with the business as well. Does social media drive a lot of traffic to your business?
No, it's basically 0. I just have it set up. I focus 100% on SEO.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, that seems to have worked very well. Following on, what do you see as the major growth opportunities within this business?
Of course, it's going to depend on the buyer's kind of strength. I like to work, I always encourage people to work with their strength, but like top level, like bird's eye view. So number 1 is it's ranking for a lot of what I would say is like kind of like affiliate type keywords where we're promoting products, but there's no affiliate links. I just haven't been interested in adding them. Like the lowest hanging fruit, the quickest win would be to add the affiliate links to those particular brands, those particular products. And there is affiliate programs for those. So that could be a quick win. Also, the site gets a lot of traffic. So definitely setting up something like a lead magnet just to capture some emails. If you're good at email marketing, that's going to be it's getting a lot of traffic. It shouldn't be too hard to collect some emails. And then you could also expand into other traffic sources if you want. I'm sure that this niche, I've seen other people doing it. They would do quite well, say in Pinterest, because it's, food, beverage related. So social media could be another option. And then of course, just keep publishing content. Like it works well. There's a lot of room for growth within the niche itself for topics that I haven't covered yet. I mean, it's essentially endless, the topics that you can cover within the niche. So there's a lot of opportunity for growth there as well.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like there's a lot of levers that the buyer could pull to grow the business, which is always a fantastic thing. Let's take a look into your content creation process now. You mentioned how often you add content to the site, but how do you come up with the topics and what does your keyword research process look like?
Yeah, so the keyword research is just based a lot on topics that I know people are kind of searching for. Like it starts with like the topics that I know that there's interest in, not just by keyword research tools, you know what I mean? So the ones that have like a lot of interest, because then if you're more passionate about the topic, they're going to stay on the page longer and so on. So I always start with the topics that I know there's a lot of interest in that are doing really well. And I just use Ahrefs essentially. So I can just do that by looking through competitors or looking through different groups, stuff like that. And then just using like basic keyword research. Once I deem the keyword like is good, then I just mark it for the writers that it's ready to write on basically. And then the writers know what to do from the rest. So we do use Surfer, which is an on-page SEO tool. So they'll create the article within Surfer and then also add all of the relevant like subheadings and they'll do all the correct formatting essentially directly on the Google Doc. From there, once it's ready, then it gets marked as ready to upload. And then I have a part-time VA that does the uploading and publishing, all that kind of stuff, all the little fine details, internal linking, that sort of thing.
Perfect. Yeah, it sounds like a pretty well thought out and streamlined process there. You've touched a couple of times there on the fact that you have a team in place. So can you walk us through who's involved in that team and the sort of tasks and content that they produce?
Yeah, so it's me that's overseeing it, kind of managing it, but then I have like 3 full-time writers and a part-time VA. And that's essentially it. The writers know how to write, like they're familiar with SEO content, so they know how to format everything, as I mentioned before. And the VA is just for, mostly uploading that sort of stuff, designing the page, and then doing some internal linking. And that's pretty much it. I have no link builders. I don't do anything like that. In the past, I did get I mentioned some Haro links. I just did that myself. It wasn't too many, just maybe a handful. But yeah, most of the business is just focused on publishing content.
And is that team, are they employees of the business or are they employed on a contract basis?
They're my employees, and like I have other projects that I plan to move them over to. So we can discuss, I'm already including a month's worth of content with the business, which I mentioned in the listing. So it should help with a smooth transition over. So they're not going to be left with like no content at all. So I've agreed to include 30 days free content, no extra charge, nothing like that. We'll take care of everything. But then moving forward, I do plan to keep my team. It's like an in-house team that I have working on. I plan to move more to a different project. But if they need help hiring or training, anything like that, I'm more than happy to help with that. I actually enjoy that aspect of the business. So, but I have other plans for the team, so they won't be on with the business, to make it clear.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So having that team in place, I'm sure alleviated a lot of your workload and helps you churn out content a lot faster. So with that in mind, what does your role as the business owner look like in terms of a typical work week? How many hours are you spending on the business and what sort of tasks are taking up your time?
It's probably about like 5 to 7 hours a week. So I just do topic research once a week. Probably takes like 1 to 2 hours. And the rest is just essentially just having I do like spot check the articles, of course, and then just checking like analytics, just checking earnings, that sort of stuff, checking rankings. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Earnings, rankings, traffic, updating plugins, just like little bits and bobs that might come up. But that's about it. It's not a whole lot to it.
Perfect. Yeah. It sounds like the business is running very smoothly. Everyone knows their role. Content is being churned out very well. So given that everything seems to be running so smoothly, what do you think the biggest challenge will be for a buyer when they take over this business?
I would say if you want to keep producing the same amount of content, then of course, like getting writers in place. So if you want to scale back content, like I'm still writing content fairly aggressively, I would say, because I'm not sure how long it's going to take to sell the business. And I want to see it continue to grow, essentially. So I don't really want it to be flat. I want to keep growing it. So if it's 6 months or a year, I have no idea what to expect, like how long it's going to take, essentially. So I'm just running it as if I want to keep growing it. And then if it sells, it sells. And yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So if they want to keep growing it as aggressively with as much content, then I would say getting the writers in place. However, if you have experience running websites of this size or what have you, then it's going to be pretty straightforward. The content process, once you have kind of the machine set up, is a very simple process. It's just setting it up. So that would be the biggest hurdle, is if you're starting from scratch, is setting up the content team.
Yeah, absolutely. Being able to continue that momentum when the buyer takes over is going to be crucial, I think.
And as I mentioned, I'm going to include 30 days free. So you basically have a guaranteed 30 days of no worries, essentially, from the moment the business is sold. And then if you want to continue on, we can work something out like that. Like I'm fairly flexible with that. I don't want to leave anybody out to dry and nothing like that. So I want to make for a smooth transition, as smooth as possible.
Well, following on from that train of thought, what sort of support are you willing to offer buyers just to help ease that transition?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really flexible with that. I could do 3 months, Skype calls, emails, whatever. I'm very flexible with that. Whatever the new buyer would see as fit, I'm willing to do that. I'm also willing to stay on as we can work something out, essentially. I'm very flexible with that.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that'll be a huge help to the buyer. When it comes time to actually negotiating the ins and outs of the sale, would you be open to something like an earn-out agreement?
Yeah, I would be open to an earnout, assuming that I would get like majority upfront, essentially. And this is also going to depend a lot on what the final price of the business as well. But I am open to an earnout.
Fantastic. And would you commit to something like a non-compete agreement?
Yes, I would.
Wonderful. Well, Kyle, you've experienced so much success with this business right out of the gate, which is fantastic. I'm sure that a lot of young entrepreneurs listening who would like to repeat your success. So do you have any advice that you would give them that you wish you knew when you first started this business?
I would say stick to kind of what you're good at and try to outsource the rest as much as you can and gain as much knowledge. Like I focus a lot on content and I became very familiar with content. I really just focus on content and I just kind of ignored the rest. Another thing is you have to have skin in the game. So work on your own websites, do your own thing, build your own thing because you're going to care about it a lot more. Stay consistent and then also track and document what you did and what you didn't do because that becomes like the recipe. Like you know how to make adjustments need be. Because at the end of the day, I think a lot of it is just like following a process and just sticking with it repeatedly over a long enough time. And if you're doing the right things, then you should have some sort of success, right? Your success may vary, but I think you're going to be moving in the right direction.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice, especially tracking and documenting your processes. As you say, that'll be the best, easiest way to replicate your success with future projects. Well, Kyle, that leads us to the final question of the interview, the one we've been building up to this whole time. So if you had to put yourself into the shoes of a buyer, why do you think your business is a business worth buying?
It has a lot of room for growth. And I think that it's built correctly from the beginning, right? There's no sketchy things going on, nothing like that. Ton of room for growth, ton of upside. Yeah, you're buying, a good foundation and it's already earning good money, but you could take things much higher essentially. So I think the biggest thing is there's a lot of room for growth here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's an excellent foundation for the next buyer to build on. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners that I might have missed?
No, I think that covers everything.
Perfect. Well, in that case, Kyle, thank you so much for coming onto the show and giving us some more insight into you and your business. I think the buyers certainly learned a lot, especially with regards to SEO strategies. So thank you for taking the time to do this.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 66333. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.